MG makes its return to Malaysia with this, the MG4. Available in 4 variants with prices starting from just 104,000 ringgit, replete with one of the best after-sales warranty coverages we've seen so far. Is this now the new EV hatchback to watch? And is this strong enough to unseat the BYD Dolphin? My name is AIMAN. This is Malaysian Motoring. This is our launch coverage of the new MG4. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are 4 variants on offer with no less than 3 battery outputs. The MG4 Standard offers a 51 kilowatt LFP battery. The MG4 Lux offers a 64 kilowatt NMC battery. The MG4 Lux Extended Range offers a 77 kilowatt hour NMC battery, whereas the MG4 XPower that we have here uses that 64 kilowatt battery I mentioned earlier. Now, range for these cars starts from 350 kilometers for the standard range and rises all the way up to 520 kilometers for the Lux Extended Range, although the XPower does only 385. Now, it is worth noting that the only all-wheel drive model that you can get is the XPower. All other variants are rear-wheel drive, with output being 170 PS on the standard and 203 PS on the Lux, whereas the extended range offers 245, whereas this MG4 XPower offers 435 PS, whereas torque is rated at 600 Newton meters. Now, all of these cars are decently fast, but this one in particular goes from 0 to 100 in 3.8 seconds, which is very, very impressive indeed. Now, the MG4, being a modern MG, certainly comes with a very bold and daring design. Up front, you have these incredibly sharp full LED headlights, which are upgraded on higher end models and slightly downgraded for the standard, although they do offer plenty fantastic illumination, but the indicators are down here on a separate lighting system. Now, the front end of this car is very, very sharp regardless of which variant you go for, although this XPower model obviously benefits from this lovely matte racing green paint. Rolling stock for all 3 models are also different. Lux variants use 18-inch alloy wheels with an aero cover on top. Standard models get also a set of aero alloy wheels, but those are 17 inches, whereas the XPower gets 18-inch Cyclone alloy wheels. Now, tires between the Lux and the XPower are the same, Bridgestone Taranza T005A tires, whereas the standard model gets Continentals instead. The side profile of the MG4 is also quite attractive, with an interesting use of surface play in order to make this car look a little bit more dynamic. I certainly appreciate the use of contrast material down on the lower half of the doors, again to reduce the visual bulk of the side profile. It is worth noting the MG4 actually measures up very similarly to what you get from, say, a Honda City hatchback, so this isn't a particularly large car. But compared to the BYD Dolphin, this car is also significantly lower. That said, it also loses out on the Dolphin's standard panoramic sunroof. Now, on the higher end models of the MG4, you get this gorgeous LED light signature on the back, replete with an LED light signature on the top of this sort of ducktail spoilery type element, which I think certainly looks very attractive indeed. Now, the designs are obviously different because if you were to get the standard, it loses some of the visual trickery, but overall, the rear treatment of the MG4 is pretty good looking if you ask me. I also appreciate the fact that the MG badge is set within this perspex, and this deck lid is so large in order to improve the aerodynamics of this car, although obviously the 2-piece spoiler certainly helps those matters. Now, behind this tailgate, you will find just under 500 liters of space. Now, the MG4 is a bespoke EV platform, which means that everything has been packaged in such a way to truly maximize practicality. That is why the load lip is very low and very flat. And that is also why underneath the boot floor you will still find a little bit more space should you want to hide the charge cables and so on, although obviously you still get a snazzy little bag to go with it. If you need more space, the rear seats do fold 60/40 and you do get little tie-down hooks here, so overall it is quite practical. However, this is not a powered tailgate and it is not clear whether or not MG will offer that as an option. Now, the interior of the MG4 certainly feels a lot more typical of a car within this segment versus, say, the exuberant design that we got from the BYD Dolphin. Up ahead sits a squircle-like steering wheel, which in this car is wrapped in leather, and it certainly feels very nice to the touch. You also get a bunch of physical, lovely, tactile buttons in order to control the majority of the functions within this car, which certainly look nice and operate with a nice, pleasing feel too. Now, up ahead of me sits a relatively small but square instrument cluster, which should give me all the relevant information that I need in a manner that should be very easy to refer to. And to the side, you will find this integrated head unit, which I think not only looks good, but also operates really well too. The graphics are great. The response time could be a little better, but more importantly, it does come with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, although apparently it is wired and not wireless. Now, unfortunately, this screen also controls your HVAC system, which is not something that I appreciate that much. However, you do get a pad here in order to put your phone, and there's even these little integrated holes for you to thread your charging cable through. The connectors live down there, as do the cup holders, as well as this lovely central storage bin, which is pretty deep, big enough to fit most items. You get a little bit of netting here for smaller items, and you get a relatively large center cubby here. Now, your gear selector lives here along with your electronic parking brake on this lovely shelf, which I think not only looks good, but it's also pretty solid, doesn't really flex, and it should operate with a nice, pleasing touch. Now, with this seat I'm in my driving position, you can see there's a decent amount of knee room and a relatively alright amount of headroom, but under thigh support is at a little bit of a premium. I can tuck my feet underneath the seat in front of me, which does fix things to some degree, but overall the BYD Dolphin should be a little bit more comfortable in the back for adult passengers. For children, however, you will find there are ISOFIX mounts, although they hide behind these Velcro type covers, which is, I think, one of the strangest ways to hide ISOFIX mounts I've seen so far. You do get pockets on the back of the seats. You get a single USB-A port there, but I think the trouble I have with this is not only is it very dark, but interior quality is not that great. The Alcantara or microfiber type material on this certainly feels very nice. You get cloth in lower variants or cloth and leather combination in luxe models, but it's the hard touch plastics on the door that has left me feeling not so great. There is also no rear aircon vents either. My brochure has made a return because now I have to get into the nitty-gritty of the ADAS systems. The MG4 comes as standard with MG Pilot Active Driver Assist features, which means that as standard, you get things like autonomous emergency braking with cyclist and pedestrian detection, lane keep assist with lane departure warning, traffic jam assist with intelligent cruise control, intelligent high beam assist, and a driver attention alert across all models. However, Luxe models and above are the only ones that get things like blind spot detection with rear cross traffic alert, lane change assist, and door open warning. All of this is largely to do with the hardware necessary in order to detect vehicles or obstacles in your blind spot. That said, however, because of this car's relatively comprehensive active safety suite, it does mean that even if you were to get just the MG4 standard as, say, a family runabout, you'll still be pretty well served. Now, to recap, the MG4 is available in Malaysia in 4 variants, with this standard coming in at just 103,999 ringgit. The Lux comes in at 128,999 ringgit, but the Lux extended range goes up to 148,999 ringgit. Now, if you have a need for speed, the XPower will set you back 158,999 ringgit. Now, for customers who purchase their MGs between today and the end of April, there are a few early bird packages. For the MG4 standard, you will get a free 7 kilowatt wall box with installation worth 4,600 ringgit. For the MG4 Lux, you'll get an 11 kilowatt wall box which is worth 5,600 ringgit. And for the 4 Lux ER and XPower, you will get 1,000 ringgit in charging credits applicable to Jom Charge and DC Handal. Now, all cars will come as standard with a 7-year, 150,000 kilometer warranty for the vehicle, as well as an 8-year, 180,000 kilometer warranty for the battery and the electric motor. Speaking of that, if your battery state of charge or health drops below 80% within that warranty period, MG will be able to replace your battery 1-to-1, no questions asked. This certainly goes some way in order to assuage customers of their concerns when it comes to reliability and dependability. On top of that, SAIC Malaysia has committed to over 20 dealers across the country by the end of the year, which means that all customers for the MG4 and MG ZS SUV should be pretty well served. Let us know what you think about the new MG4 in the comments section below. Will this sway you from vehicles like the BYD Dolphin or even larger vehicles like the Atto 3 and the Omoda 5? In any case, that has been our launch coverage of the MG4. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell icon to notified every time we make a new upload. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. All the links are in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Take care and stay safe.